So what does innovation and engagement look like through the eyes of a teacher? Let's find out.
Welcome to Fordify Live with your host, Ford Saeks.
Well, our guest today, I'm so glad I took him out of his busy schedule. It's Steve Spangler from stevespangler.com. He's more than an education keynote speaker, which it says he's a celebrity. He's been on Ellen and all over. You guys can Google him if you don't already know who he is. So Steve Spangler, welcome to Fordify Live. We are live right now on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, and a few other places. And I'm sure if you've been on YouTube, you've seen a science experiment or something by Steve Spangler. Steve, welcome to the show.
Ford, are we live? Because I'm still like making my coffee and everything. Are we? This is
Yeah,
live
yeah.
now?
We are live. Like this is live, so there's no edits. We are live.
Hold on a second. I'm trying to make the coffee and I don't even have a spoon. So you know what? It tastes horrible. Hold on. Here's the thing: is if you don't have a spoon, for anybody who's watching, do not worry, because here's what you do. If you don't have a spoon, you're not a barbarian. You're not going to stick your finger in there and like stir it around like that. So here's what you do. You always carry around a board that looks like this. So it looks like that you just get a board and then you put some holes in the board and then you hook rope to it. It's very convenient just to carry with you. And then you put your coffee cup right here on top of it like that. And now if you want to mix the coffee inside, you just got to get yourself a little room. It's fine. And one of the rules that is very important for people who are watching to understand, and we always say, don't try this at home, try it at a friend's home. So it's perfect, all right? So you got to, so here we go like this. Higgins, you don't have a drum roll for me, do you? Do you have something that's there? Oh yeah, here we go, and here we go, and nice job. Looking good. This is the best part for it. This is my favorite part right here. And the crowd goes wild with excitement. No, thank you. Tip your waitress, I'll be here all week. Ford, you are so nice to come in because I'm sure you're sitting there going, this is not going to go well. And the business owners are going, what in the world does this guy understand about innovation, engagement, business strategies? Cheers to you. I don't know, but let's see where we can go for this.
Well, I appreciate you being here. What I would tell you is, you've done something really unique. So not only are you a rock star in the education world, helping teachers, which I believe it's such a great thing to be doing because students need it so much. But you're also a Hall of Fame keynote speaker on the circuit, speaking for corporations and organizations, and a successful entrepreneur. You built a huge business up, invented a lot of products, and then sold it. So I'm interested in any insights you have on what was that journey look like, and what are you doing now, and just anything you think is valuable.
Oh, you're nice, Ford. Well, first of all, let me point this out. There had to be a reason to do that little bit at the very beginning.
Yeah, I was trying to figure out what you were doing there.
Yes. Here's the thing is if you're a group of educators, I'd look at you and say, this is what kids want. They don't want the spinning cup trick. They want to be in the presence of somebody who's lost their mind. They want to be in the presence of somebody who is so excited about educate, so excited about that day, what they're going to learn, that they will not just stand there and deliver. They'll create an experience. They will go to the nth degree to not do an activity, but to create an experience. And it's a teacher's superpower. When you create an experience, experiences change the way you see, feel, think, and react. And so when that student is sitting in front of us, we as a teacher understand how important it is to be able to create an inclusive experience that allows them the opportunity to connect. And if I looked at you, Ford, and said, every business does the same thing, we just forgot, right? So I think it's really important to reconnect with that inner teacher. You don't have to be a teacher to be a great business owner, but great business owners are great teachers, right? And so I think you have to reconnect with that, and you have to say, what are some of the strategies that the most successful educators in the world out there can use to bring us in as a customer? How do they engage us more than going, click the like button and give me a thumbs up or whatever it is? Stop it. Or follow us on Facebook. Why do I really need to follow Chick-fil-A on Facebook? I don't know why. Engage with me a different way. And since I mentioned Chick-fil-A, the perfect example of an experience, right? When you go there, it's different than any other place you go to in terms of a fast food. Things are changing now, and other people are figuring it out and trying to up the game just a little bit, up the ante. But it's a different thing. It's always been a different experience. You always felt different because experiences, once again, will change the way you see, feel, think, and react. And from a business standpoint, super important. So we built the business on that premise, 25-year business called Steve Spangler Science. Steve Spangler Science is still around. During that time, had about we were Colorado based, about 50 employees. My wife was really the CEO of that company, managed the overseas factories. If you head into a Target today or a mass market store, a Hobby Lobby, one of those things, and you go in the toy section, you look for toys, you'll still find Steve Spangler Science toys. It's just this guy isn't running that after 25 years. So much larger corporation or conglomerate of education companies kind of took that over. So that's kind of an interesting dynamic because I'm still doing what I'm doing with the television show and with speaking and with helping corporations trying to learn a little bit more about engagement, maybe at a little deeper level. But I don't sell the products and create the products anymore. So it is kind of an interesting space to be in.
Well, I know that, attention spans have gotten shorter, employee turnover. Whenever I'm asked to speak at a corporation, or like when you are too, we do that pre-event questionnaire or conversation Zoom call. And we ask the leadership, what are the top three challenges you're facing? And inevitably it's turnover, at least in the franchising space, where there's, in UK, you mentioned Chick-fil-A, which is QSR, quick serve restaurants, and then fast casual, full service dining. And employee engagement is really a big issue. And the way people learn and consume information, especially with the connected generation where everybody's connected to their phones. So what can a regular company, a business owner do to help create training that is engaging, not death by PowerPoint?
Yeah. Doesn't it really start with those people that you bring on, those rock stars that you bring on that are truly great teachers? So if somebody is heading up that training program and they're not a rock star teacher, it's not a skill set you're just going to learn in a couple of days when you watch a video or something. So honestly, I hate to say this, so the world and the teacher world's going to hate me for saying this, but you pluck a teacher right out of that environment because there are teachers. I don't know if you know this today, but education's having a hard time, and there are teachers they've done 20 years and they're kind of looking for something else. And I'm sure that you can bring them up to speed as a company, could bring them up to speed in your training division. But first and foremost, they understand the power of engagement. And if they're a teacher that you've plucked out of the classroom, they understand the power of social media right now. You and I can talk about it a little bit later, but companies ask me all the time, so how in the world did you get 1.5 billion views? It's with a B.
Yeah, I want to make sure you're hearing that, everybody. So if you're listening to the podcast, we're talking to Steve Spangler, stevespangler.com. And I mean, we're talking billion with a B on YouTube and other platforms. So how did you do that and keep going? I just want to make sure that the audience hears that.
No, you're very nice. It's that little sense of narcissism maybe is coming out. So I apologize. But it's one of those where you look at it and you say, so what have you learned along the way? What does that really look like? And what we've learned is you're absolutely right. Attention spans are shorter. When I started in YouTube, YouTube was only 3 months old. Came up with this little thing where you drop Mentos into Diet Coke and it shoots up into the air. And that kind of became this little phenomenon. And when I shut down the Gannett server, because I work for the NBC affiliate in Denver doing a science spot every week to kind of keep me fresh in front of the camera, I took that little piece of video since I was told, don't do that again. That was 2005. I shut down the Gannett server. We had 200,000 teachers who were hitting it and sharing it with everybody else. So I uploaded it to this little website called YouTube, and only 3 months old. It became YouTube's first viral science video. Yes. I know that's a niche little network or a niche little category that's right there. But back in the day, 10,000 views. I could put anything up there and it would be fine. We put hundreds and hundreds of videos and we got views. Today, if I tried to do that, absolutely nothing at all. When we upload to TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, and now YouTube, we're all looking at shorts. We're all looking at reels. We're all looking at, if I can't grab their attention in the first 3 to 7 seconds, I've lost them. So why does a video of me, I'm looking around the kitchen, this is our set that we use for our show called DIY Sci. When we do the egg in the bottle trick, you take a milk bottle, you take a hard-boiled egg and you put it there. There's a big lead up to that. And then you light the paper on fire and you put it, you know what? Nobody wants to see that. So if I put that up there, I might get, just because of the traffic that we have and so forth and the followers, a couple 100,000 views. But if I trim it so that I'm right there and I go, look at this, egg, the bottle, egg goes in the bottle. Check this out. Bam. And it goes in the bottle after you light the fire. Well, that may get 4.5 million views like it did a couple weeks ago. Why? Because I'm focused. I'm getting to the point immediately. Getting there, so people are like, wait just a second, because it's pretty easy to throw a thumb scroll up, or down, or whatever it is that you do. So I know as a teacher, I have got to get their attention. I can't compete with any of those social media platforms, but I can take what I have learned by being on those platforms, apply it to my teaching. So I know I'm getting to the point a little bit faster, and then give them time to be able to make the experience their own. To stop for a second and ask them, so how do you think that works? Why do we get, Higgins, how many questions will you get sometimes on TikTok comments when I simply look at camera and go, so how did I make the ball disappear or whatever?
Oh, I mean, it's thousands of people just reacting. And
Thousands. Yeah. So you might get a couple thousand people who will put a comment there. If you just watch the next video, I'll show you how it works. And I'll tell you, if you watch the next video tomorrow, I'll tell you how it works. They don't care. They want to engage now. And so I think one of the things I've learned, Ford, is the need to not only do my little show and get everybody's attention,
Right.
but to know when to stop and allow them. You do it so well, Ford, when you're helping us and you're coaching us as speakers. And I've been to so many things that you've done. You just stop for a second and you allow us to absorb that information. And then you let us start to try and give you feedback and tell you what we think. And they're very, very kind to guide us in the right way. You're a great teacher. You know those skills, Ford. And I think that business owners can align themselves with people who know those skills. They can learn them on their own, but if you want to fast track it, go get some great teachers, and I'll promise you it's a great asset to the organization.
So that's so
Teachers
exciting.
are
I
going to
really
hate that.
yeah.
If I get in trouble with superintendents around the country, it's because they're watching your podcast or something, because I'm telling them to go and kind of pluck some teachers. But honestly, if you're pulling a teacher out of the classroom, they want to be out of the classroom anyway. They did their thing, and now they want to be a teacher at that next level. And
I love
think it's
how
perfect.
politically correct you are, always navigating that fine line. So just for disclaimer purposes, this is for educational and informational purposes only. We are not giving you legal advice or telling you to quit your job. Okay. But if you're an
Yeah.
organization and you're looking at how to engage more effectively, maybe you're looking at a pool of individuals that you maybe haven't looked at in the past, because, I always say hire for attitude, train for skills, right? So hire someone who has good attitude. And if they love helping people and they're a teacher, obviously they love helping people and helping organizations and kids and of all ages. So they might be a good
Right.
candidate for you. So moving to something else, what are you really excited about this year, and what are you up to right now? What's going on? Or do you have any other experiments? Like, I know you always have something in your sleeve. Now, beyond
Oh,
this science, you also do magic. So every time we're at Speakers Roundtable, full disclosure, we're in Speakers Roundtable together. I love the dinners because, I always want to sit at your table because you and Renee, you've always got something going on.
Well, yeah, I've got something to show you, absolutely, and a little tie-in to be able to play with it. But this, as I told you before, we started a TV show. Well, first of all, it started on YouTube. So we became a YouTube partner back in 2010. That's different than a YouTube user.
Right.
They actually came and did a call for proposal. They took $100 million and they tried to find 100 partners, not all of them being equal, of course. Too bad for me, but they found those partners to be able to say, we want to learn something about engagement. We want to learn long form engagement.
Right.
What would it look like? How long can you retain an audience in a period of time? And we're not going to help you attract the audience. We're not going to put you higher in the search algorithm, but we are going to fund you. So we'll fund you to be able to do any show that you want to do, but we want to see how long you can engage. Once 60% of the audience disengages, so they click off, we're going to consider your content disengaged. And so we started a little thing called the Spangler effect. It was back in 2010 and we were renewed. That show went all the way into 2012. I think we did a total of 60 episodes or so. And I'll tell you, the first 3-4 episodes, I thought we had a ringer because I was working the Ellen show at the same time.
Yes.
And so I went to one of the producers on the Ellen show and I said, can I hire you on the side during the summer to what do they call that? Moonlight a little bit and just help us kind of produce the show. Well, they did. We had a great opener like you have. We had all the information. I lost the audience, Ford, in the first 23 seconds.
Yep.
60% of the audience disengaged because I think they looked at it and went, I've seen stuff like this before. And it was wrong. what I needed to do, and I learned, it took us 6 episodes or so, is that I needed to be right there in camera like this, like down here like this, going like this. Watch. I'm going to show you the secret of fire today. Fire needs 3 things. You're going to learn those 3 things, because if you have those 3 things, I am going to show you how to do this. Holy moly. Stay with us. I'll show you how to do it just right after this, or whatever the open was. It was something like that. And for the people who are listening, I just caught my kitchen on fire. So no, everything is fine. It's fine. But that's it. You got to be in their face. You got to be super fast. Bam. And you're doing it. And so what we learned was I had to get right to the point, and I had to do something that they could kind of recreate. Here's a can, a soda can. I'm going to show you how to heat the water in the soda can, turn it upside down in water, bowl of water. Bam, it'll just implode. It'll crush. You're going to amaze your friends. You're going to amaze the kids. Got it? As soon as I took that experiment and then said, now let's take everything we learned and let's crush a 55-gallon drum in the backyard. Ho-hum, start to see disengagement. Now let's crush a tanker. It costs us $50,000 and now nobody's watching. And so what I thought was the big ta-da at the end wasn't, because guess what? They wanted to connect. They wanted something that was for them. So if you look at a YouTube series that we put together, really in response to that, if you go to youtube.com/sick, S-I-C-K, science, that's all because kids, when I was teacher in the classroom for 11 years, kids would go, "Whoa, that's sick." And I'd always go, "What does that mean?" They're like, "You're old." It means far out, cool, great, whatever. So Sick Science became a brand. Told you I'm an entrepreneur at heart. So if you look at youtube.com/sick science, that's the catalog of videos that really kind of taught us more about engagement than you could ever imagine, kind of took us to the next level, and created an entire product line that we released at Toy Fair under Sick Science, under a business that we'd called Be Amazing Toys that we started back in 2003. So I think all those things together, I am sure learning a lot about engagement. It's amazing what I didn't know last week. All you have to do is look at my TikTok numbers or whatever and go, well, this week was a weird week, and then last week was a better week, and then this coming, it's that kind of thing. Every week I'm learning how to engage with that audience. And once you think you've got the answer, you don't. It's very, very fluid. And we have to be fluid. So it's one of the big things I'm thinking about.
So, I'm been playing around a little bit with TikTok, not near like what you guys are doing and anything. But, in the feed for the people that I follow on TikTok, they're like, okay, TikTok's going to widescreen format. It used to be, and now they're trying to engage a new audience. I don't know how it's going to work. I mean, I know everybody's trying to compete, Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok, Pinterest. They're all competing for those eyeballs, and the rules are changing so quickly. Right. And so what used to work doesn't necessarily work. I spend most of my time on LinkedIn, as a speaker, building relationships and a marketer, but certainly understand the power of a digital footprint and need to repurpose content. I mean, I definitely have the setup here in my office. I need to produce more content. I'm like the plumber with leaky pipes. I'm helping everybody else grow their brand, and I need to do my own. And so that's one of the reasons I do the Fordify episodes. I mean, I have a guest like you on sharing great content. It elevates everything. So what do you see changing, with social media and now with virtual reality and AI? And I think what I'm going to say as a premise is I think the personal contacts and in person are going to be more important than ever, because you can do deep fakes and avatars and all this other stuff now. So I think that one-on-one, or being in a room with an expert leader, keynote speaker, trainer, author, expert, I think it's going to be even more valuable going forward, because people are going to want to get a real live experience. But I'm curious to know, how are you navigating all these changes?
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. And I think that if you allow yourself to get caught up in all the changes and you're constantly changing to that different format, I think you give yourself an ulcer, and ultimately you burn out so fast. I've got friends who are in this science space that are, my views are nothing compared to these people who are making huge.
And he's being very humble right now, guys. He has millions and billions of views, but I get it.
You got it. And talking to one of them just last week, a gentleman by the name of Nick Uhouse. Nick's like, I've got an entire team here that does nothing but follow the trend, and then we change course. And so they're ready for this format, this long, I mean, TikTok's now going, we want longer format. And so we're going to get into this space. And so he said, you know what, we got to ride that wave until they decide, nope, we're not going to do that anymore.
Right.
And then you jump off and hopefully you're doing something else. I don't want to say I'm too old to do that. I love teaching teachers. I taught kids for many, many years, and I love doing our television show. We have a nationally syndicated show called DIY Sci. It shows up on your Fox affiliate or your CW affiliate. If you're in the gym or walking through the airport and you see some guy blowing up shit on TV, it's probably me, and you can't hear because you don't even have the. Oh, sorry.
I'm teasing you. You can say shit on my show. I just like to push my button. Sorry.
That's me. So I love doing that show. And the reason I like doing that show is because it's just a throwback to what we were doing on YouTube. We got a just chance on national TV to be able to do that show. It's also streaming on Amazon. So again, if you search Steve Spangler, and it's called DIY for Do It Yourself Sci, SCI, that's a great example of, so how does somebody make money on YouTube? I would say you don't make money being on TV. You make money because you were on TV, right?
Yes,
you leverage it in a way.
I would agree.
Same thing with YouTube. YouTube was a platform to be able to create the Spangler effect. It was a campy little show, and who cares? But that body of work, when the producers in New York came from this production company and they said, hey, we'd love to have you do a show. You got any ideas? To be able to pick up that body of work and say, well, I like this, but we really didn't have the budget that you guys have. What do you think about taking this to the masses? And you could see them go, all right, proof of concept, let's go. So I think that's what it's doing for all of us. It's keeping us in practice. We're putting content out there. And that's speaking for the creators. But if I was a business and solely was a business and going, how is this working? Let's just say I owned the toy business. I'd make sure I'd find somebody who is great on camera, who could totally interact and relate with that audience, and to get that person out there. And the first 100 videos are gonna not do well. And you got to get past the first 100. It's like a speaker. Do 100 speeches, right. Then we'll go to dinner and talk about the speaking business. But you got to get a body of work out there. Get it out there, realizing it's not going to be great, but something's going to click with that audience. And you're going to find your groove that's there. Of course, we need to be on the social media, but you get to decide what that looks like. And I would say to anybody, I wish I'd thought about this earlier, you got to impose limits to be able to say, here's where I'm jumping in, and it's okay, here's where I jump out.
Right.
I couldn't keep creating Sick Science. We did 225 of those little short videos. We licensed them all over the world. They've got millions and millions of views, but I'm not going to keep on doing that so that I have 500 or 1,000. There's just no reason to do that. As soon as I stop doing it, man, do the haters come out. They jump in and say, guess you're not creative anymore. Guess you don't have it. Guess what? They're not buying my stuff anyway. Right. They're consuming free content. And so that I don't stress myself out, it's easy to let the social media stress yourself out. Especially if I was running that division in a company, I would just have a clear-cut vision of what we're trying to do, why we're doing what we're doing. And for me, to be honest with you, from a business standpoint, why do I do TikTok? I do TikTok so that brands will bring me in as a brand ambassador. So I'm working on a project right now for Pilot Pen. Can I show this to you? I bet you I can. Oh, stand by. Ford, tell them a little limerick or be entertaining.
All right, I will do that.
I'm gonna go get this paper. All right, here we go.
All right, so this is Ford Saeks. It's Fordify Live. We are live right now, and we go live Wednesdays at 11 a.m. Central, LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook. This is also the Business Growth Show podcast. So like and subscribe, do all the fancy stuff that Steve always talks about. And we are back, almost back. Here we go, Steve. Welcome back.
Look at that. So here's what I figured out. And so here's what kind of makes sense. Here's a piece of paper. You can kind of see that top-down version. Here's my piece of paper and a pen. If you take it just happens to be this pen here. I'll show you this camera right here. It's a friction pen. It's made by Pilot. And a friction pen is different than a regular pen. Normally, if you take a regular pen and you were to write something, Fordify. Uh-oh, I messed up. Right? I should have said Fordify with a Y. So normally if I had a pen, I'd try to erase it. When you erase with a normal pen, it takes the first layer of paper off. But this is a friction pen. This is actually a thermal sensitive pen like that. So now that heat that you create when you rub your hands together with friction, I now can erase and I can do this. So
That's
Fordify,
cool.
there it is. So there's and then Fordify. You got it?
Yep.
So same thing here. I had these other pens. Same thing. You can, here's a little note for the kids. Science is cool, what have you, right? But now watch what happens for it. If heat will make that disappear, like rubbing it like this, heat will make this disappear. I wonder what would happen if I actually use this heat here. So watch, here we go. And well, there it
Oh,
is. Look at
wow.
that. You can make the image just vanish. Look at this. Watch this. You don't take your eyes off of this. Look at this. Watch it just vanish. Well, when we did that a long time ago on YouTube and then recently put it out last Valentine's Day as a cool message to be able, like oh, and I can bring it back. If I put it in the freezer, it comes back. So that temperature
Oh,
changes.
really?
It's a thermal sensitive ink. So now I can write a secret message to my wife. And that's kind of cool because you just get back and forth and all of a sudden the message, the letters that are with that thermoactive ink will disappear and the other letters will not. So it's like a secret message. All this to say, I got their attention. And the people at Pilot went, we sure like how you engage the audience, and we sure want to go after teachers and show them the innovative ink that would you be our spokesperson? And so that's exactly the deal that I signed. So we're doing work right now for them, creating videos, creating content that both students and teachers will use. Why? Because they got a chance to see what was going on. So
I think that's so cool. And just for the record, I use Pilot pens, so I know it won't focus on there.
there you go.
It's
There
a
it is.
Pilot
Well,
pen, but
there
anyway.
it is. So it's that. So, but did you know that you could take heat and make it disappear?
No clue.
Check it out. It's very, very cool. Just now, don't light your paper on
Yeah,
fire.
I was going to say.
But what we have to do is to show teachers, like, what if I used a hair dryer? What if I use a tea kettle? What if I put it up against here? What if I took my coffee cup and actually write on the outside of the coffee cup with one of their felt pens? Then I can fill it with hot coffee and you see the message just disappear. Isn't that cool? So it's that kind of thing. I can use the platform to get a lot of attention, a lot of feedback, but most importantly, I got the attention of the person I wanted. That was a very, very targeted way to be able to say, I think I have something to say. I think I could be your person to reach educators if that's something you're interested in. Lo and behold, they were interested. So that's the kind of thing, very transparent. This is what I try to do. And there are offers that come to us that we say no to because there's no congruency, right?
Right.
We have a mutual friend by the name of Dr. Nito Cobain that talks about the need for congruency in our business. And when it's not something, when somebody comes to me and says, hey, how'd you like to do this with whatever the product is? You go, it doesn't really, I don't think that I could move the needle for you at all. To learn to say no, a pretty important thing because I know I can't engage my audience to be interested in their product as well.
Yeah, my motto for going forward has been do less better. As an entrepreneur, I've seen shiny objects everywhere, and I've built 17 different companies up. 3 were 7-figure companies, and then there were a few that just didn't really work or ideas that didn't work. And I've invented a few products and patented, but not near like what you've done. And what I found as being an entrepreneur my whole life is I see opportunity everywhere. So it's really easy for someone to say, hey, do you want a joint venture on this? Or what do you think about this? Or can you be on our board and help us as a strategic partner? And so now I'm, like you said, from Dr. Neil Cobain, doing less better, selecting what makes sense, and you don't have to do everything. So regardless of what your product mix is for your company, more isn't always better. Sometimes better is better. And so,
Right.
really want to look at, are you diversifying or diversifying? But I really applaud you for being able to stick to your guns and say, no, this is what I'm going to do. It's congruent with me. It makes sense. And what's really interesting, what you've done is you've been able to cross over a lot of different things. So like, it's kind of like a country singer that can be on a rap star. Like you've been a Hall of Fame keynote speaker, speaking for organizations on innovation. I've been able to share the platform and see you on stage at large events, blowing things up and creating liability for the Marriott. I think it was the Marriott where the ceiling came down.
It's fine. Don't worry about it, people. It's all good. It's all good.
But you also do this cruise. Tell the viewers and listeners about this cruise. You still putting on your cruise every year?
Still doing that. And again, there's got to be a purpose. If you just simply say, well, we offer a cruise.
No, it's not a cruise. I mean, it's very targeted to the people you create.
No,
you're all about experiences is the key point.
Yeah, it's exactly it. So you've got it. So imagine those customers in your business that are super fans, those that will, any product you put out, they'll buy. Anything you do, they're there. You product launch, you know who's going to be in the front row, so to speak. So we were fortunate enough to have some of those. Most of those people were educators, administrators, superintendents, people like that. And so they had been through the things that we offer. We offer a 3-day STEM Institute in Colorado, and provide these day-long workshops around the country. So they've been through a lot of stuff. So I thought we were on a family cruise to Alaska. And as we were going on this cruise and I heard the naturalists talk, I just thought, wow, if we would have had a little bit more information about that mountain, about this glacier, about the water, that'd be kind of educational. So I wonder, and so I spent the rest of the cruise talking to the naturalist and going, who do you work for? And what does this look like? And could you, and my wife's like, stop it. Are you really thinking of, and so we did. We partnered with Holland America, and this year we'll be on our, I think this is number 9 or 10, can't remember. And that means that we take about 100 teachers, so it's a small group, as part of a bigger ship. So there's 2,500 people on the ship, but those 100 teachers become rock stars with that name badge that they hold, because we embed our own naturalists, we embed our own park rangers, people from National Geographic, TV crew. They want to know, why are these teachers here? And they're there to recharge their battery. They're there so that somebody can create an experience for them, and they can learn through the process of what does it look like to create the experience. Of course, we're going to learn about Alaska, but most importantly, they're going to learn about the creation. How did we go about creating this experience? So I can tell you all my points in a PowerPoint, or I can take you on the cruise and show you how to do it. And maybe you come back a changed person to be able to look at that. And I can't tell you how much fun it is for me to see a teacher who's been teaching for 20 years. They're almost hitting that burnout. For some reason, they go on the cruise and they don't even know why. The spouse is like, why am I even here? And at the end, those are the ones that have the tears in their eyes going, I don't even know what to tell. This was so transformational, right? And Dr. Cobain talks about transactional versus transformational. The cruise isn't transactional, that's for sure. It's very, very much transformational. And it works so well that we do Science of Iceland now. So we take a group of teachers to Iceland every other year. Iceland's a hot spot. Well, no, literally a hot, right. But it's a fantastic spot if you want to be an educator. And next month, we're going on a little scouting expedition for the Science of Asia. And so we're looking at Cambodia and Vietnam. Again, trying to link teachers up with other teachers around the world who are amazing at what they do. And could we learn from those people and become a better teacher at the same time? So it's all very congruent, purpose-driven engagement, right? I think that's what we're all talking about.
So what is it? Is there any final thoughts or anything that I haven't asked you that you want to share, or anything else you want to blow up or anything? Is there any closing thoughts?
Yeah, well, you get the fire. You know, I was thinking about it that many times in a business, and you can kind of use the analogy any way you want to, you got to have all things firing together, and then it works. So for example, if you're a teacher, I use that phrase all the time, best day ever. The reason I use best day ever is because a kid will come to you, and when you're a teacher, if you're especially an elementary teacher, they wrap their arms around you and they look up at you and they go, today was the best day ever. And you're like, we did nothing. There's nothing special. But to that kid, for some reason, they connected, right? They had glue, they had glitter, and Jerry the hamster. And poor Jerry, but Jerry's pretty now, and it's a best day ever, right? So that phrase, best day ever, I started thinking about that. When you earn those 3 words there, and when a child wraps their arms around and goes, hey, best day ever, what does that really mean? It means you connect and you engage through a shared experience. And when that happens, a shared experience, not my experience, but theirs. Every customer that's out there has their own experience about what just happened. You get a best day ever, right? I was at the Great Harvest Bread Company a couple weeks ago here in Colorado, and I took in Carly. Carly's been my business manager for 20 years. She'd never been to Great Harvest, and we're coming back from a thing, and so we walked in, and so I was kind of proud. I said, I kind of know the guy who was the chairman of the board here, or whatever it was. You know, it's Dr. Cobain once again, and they said, oh, well, welcome in. And they said, you know, we've got a tasting board over here. We'll cut you anything that you want. Oh, that's nice, Via, because I kind of get that. That's kind of nice. I said, what's your favorite? And they said, it's this honey wheat thing that's super, super good. But Carly said, I'd like to try that cinnamon. And the lady behind the counter said, well, you know what? I'm going to sell you the cinnamon, but I'm going to give you a whole loaf of the honey wheat. And the reason why is because once you taste that, and you drive past the store, you'll always think about this, and you're going to stop every once in a while because it's honestly the best bread that you've ever had. Connect, engage through a shared experience. Best day ever, ladies and gentlemen, right there. That's it. Best day ever right there. Why? Because you acknowledge that I'm here, that I'm a brand new customer. What was the cost of that? I don't know,
Right.
$1.50, $2. Well, it doesn't matter. She delivered it beautifully. If she hadn't delivered it the right way, she didn't have the presentation skills. So I know she had been trained properly. She had been worked with. We train animals, we teach human beings. She had been taught the core values of that company, and she gave us a best day ever. So you need those three things. Take away any of those three things, you don't have it. Same thing with fire. Take away any of those three things. Fire needs three things, right? It needs heat, it needs fuel, and it needs oxygen. Heat, fuel, oxygen. So, for example, take a look at this. This is a powder. If you're listening, I apologize. There's a powder in a bottle, a very, very fine powder. It's called lycopodium. It's kind of like cornstarch, but it's don't worry about it. It's called lycopodium. If I take the fire and I put it inside here, nothing happens. It is a fuel. So here's the fuel, here's the heat, but we're missing one thing, oxygen, right? You miss oxygen. So now watch this. You get no results unless you have the oxygen. So now look, if I stand back a little bit, look at this in the air. See those spores that are in the air that are coming around? Those now all have oxygen around them. So when I light the fire here and I put the lycopodium in the fire, look at that beautiful flame that you get. That's fantastic. Now, anything worth doing is worth overdoing. That's why you get a butane torch. All right. So they get this now. And now I had to make a fireball. And I don't think any of your guests have ever concluded their talk with a fireball, Ford. So it's just for you. It's for fortifying, because there's a lot of things that fortify, but you got to have those three things. Connect, to engage, through a shared experience. Best day ever. I want your customers to have a best day ever. You need lots of best day. Every employee needs a best day ever. It kind of works, but you got to keep those three things in mind. When you put the three things in mind and elevate it to the next level. Watch this. Ready, Ford? 3, 2, 1. Bam! This is why I can't get insurance on a home. But it's kind of fun to get to be a guest on a podcast every once in a while. Ford, you're the nicest guy in the world to invite me to do this, because I'm sure your guests are like, I don't even know what.
No, I appreciate you doing it. So one of the things I do, Steve, when I'm sending out to virtual events, is I send out this little box ahead of time, and in it, you don't give them the password, and then in it has all kinds of toys and different placards. And I was just thinking, as far as how you engage, imagine you doing this with those audiences when you do virtual experiences, how you can even engage it. So I'm not as fancy as you, but I've got some tricks up my sleeve too.
There will be teachers and principals and superintendents in the year 2024 who are going to get a box just like that from yours truly. I will have to say, I learned this from my great friend Ford Saeks. Talk about engagement. I mean, that opening is amazing. Ford, you just gave me the best gift ever. Thank you. Great gift.
Thanks again so much, Steve.
Thank you for tuning in to Fordify Live. Make sure to like, comment, and share this episode on your favorite social media platform. And don't forget to subscribe to the Business Growth Show podcast, available wherever you get your podcast streaming fix. We air weekly at 11 a.m. Central Time. So until next week, keep pushing the boundaries and never stop growing.